You know that quiet exhale when you had plans with a friend and you get a text, "Sorry, can't make it tonight." It's not because you don't like them or enjoy hanging out, it's just that you were already looking forward to being alone, and now you don't have to find a way to explain that. For most people, canceled plans mean a small disappointment. For you, they mean permission. Permission to do exactly what you were hoping to do. Nothing that requires another person. And that relief isn't avoidance, it's a preference. So what's actually going on inside the mind of someone who doesn't just tolerate solitude, but genuinely thrives in it? The psychology is fascinating. People assume that when the room goes quiet, your mind does too. It doesn't. It gets louder, but in a good way. You're washing dishes and suddenly understand why that conversation last Tuesday bothered you. You go for a walk and come back with a solution to something you weren't even trying to solve. Ideas form not because someone prompted them, but because your brain finally has room to work. And there's a reason for this that goes beyond personality. Scientists think introverts and extroverts may run on different brain chemicals. Extroverts are driven heavily by dopamine, the brain's reward signal for social interaction, novelty, and external energy. Their system lights up in a crowded room. But introverts tend to run more on a different brain chemical, one that produces satisfaction from inward-focused activity, thinking, reflecting, creating, and problem-solving. Their brain gets its deepest reward from what happens inside their own head. Think of it this way. An extrovert's brain is like a solar panel. It needs external light to charge. The introvert's brain is more like a generator. It produces its own power. Neither is broken. They just run on different systems. That's why you can spend a full Sunday doing what looks like absolutely nothing and feel more recharged than you would from any party. It's also about how much your brain is already doing before anything external even happens. Researchers found that introverts tend to have brains that are already more active at rest. Their nervous system is already humming at a higher level before they walk into any room. Imagine your brain has a volume dial. For most people, a quiet room sits at a 3, and a party bumps it to a comfortable 7. But for the self-sufficient introvert, a quiet room already sits at a 6. That party doesn't bring them to 7, it pushes them to 11. Nothing bad happened, nobody was rude, the music was fine, but their system hit capacity, and now they need to go home and let the dial come back down. If you've ever left a gathering feeling drained even though you had a perfectly fine time, that's what's happening. It was just already full. And this isn't something people develop over time, it's something they're born with. There's a psychologist named Jerome Kagan who spent decades at Harvard studying personality in babies. Babies who reacted strongly to new things at just 4 months old, the ones who kicked more, cried more, responded more intensely to the world around them. Those same children consistently preferred solitude and showed more caution in social settings by age 7. And it stayed. That kid who could play alone for hours and come back perfectly happy, the one who didn't need to be entertained, who could disappear into a book or a thought for an entire afternoon and come back satisfied. Adults worried. Teachers flagged it, but it wasn't a problem. It was the first sign of a brain that was already wired to turn inward. It was there from the very beginning. If you've always felt this way, that's your internal compass guiding you. But this is where it gets complicated. We live in a culture that was built for extroverts. Busyness means you're winning. A packed weekend means a full life. A quiet one means something must be wrong. So the self-sufficient introvert learns, often early, to perform. They make up plans or invent reasons they can't come out. They craft responses to questions about what they did this weekend that sound acceptable, because saying that you sat alone with your thoughts for 3 hours and it was the best part of your week doesn't exactly land at the office. Psychologists call this self-concealment, hiding the parts of yourself you think people won't accept. And research shows it's not the secret itself that does the damage. It's the hiding. The constant translation of who you are into something easier for other people to swallow. That gap between who you perform and who you actually are creates a quiet kind of exhaustion that drains the exact energy introverts need for their inner work. It's like running 2 operating systems at the same time and wondering why you're always out of memory. In many Nordic and East Asian cultures, being quiet and reflective is seen as a strength, not a flaw. So if you've ever felt like something's wrong with you for wanting silence, that's not a universal truth. The thing people misunderstand most about self-sufficient introverts is that they think self-sufficient means disconnected. It doesn't. These people still have good relationships with others, but they need specific people, in specific doses, at specific times. They can go weeks without contact and feel completely fine, and then have one 4-hour conversation with the right person and feel full for a month. One real conversation at midnight is worth more to them than a room full of rehearsed small talk. And when they do connect, they bring something rare, a quality of attention that comes from spending so much time in their own head that they actually know how to sit in someone else's for a while. The people in their life might be few, but they're chosen. So if this sounds like you, this is what I need you to hear. You're not the person who learned to tolerate being alone. You're the person who discovered that being alone is where your best thinking happens, your deepest work, your most honest understanding of yourself. The inner life you carry isn't a consolation prize for missed social connection. It's the engine. Maybe it's the car after work, where you sit for 5 extra minutes before going inside. The first hour after everyone's asleep, when the house finally belongs to you. The walk you take with no destination and no earbuds. That space where nobody needs anything from you, and your mind can just move. Whatever it looks like, that's where you thrive. Not in a meeting, not in a group chat, but in the stillness everyone else keeps trying to fill. The richness that other people see from the outside, it's built in the quiet that most people can't sit with. Your solitude isn't emptiness, it's soil, and everything you've ever grown started there. So, tell me, do you consider yourself a self-sufficient introvert? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. More psychology like this is coming.